After a week-long break of One Piece, here we are yet again. Welcome back, guys, to One Piece chapter 1032. My name is Sai, and we're gonna hop right into the chapter. This week's adventure starts off with Marco in his phoenix form carrying Izo by the shoulders, and they're on their way to investigate about the fire yokai, which we all know is Kanjuro's dying breath. And this is when they run into a big problem, which is Big Mom. Oda just loves teasing us because right when they run into Big Mom, he decides to cut it right then and there. We do not know what they're going to do. Are they going to continue their search for the fire yokai, or are they going to hop off and say, wait, we need to help them fight Big Mom? Because he purposely, not only did he cut it off, he did not show us the condition of Law and Kid. But it does look like Big Mom is still in rage mode. It looks like she's going in for another attack, so we can assume that they're still up and at least breathing. Alright, so speculation time. This is what I think is going to happen. I think Marco is going to drop off Izo and say, hey, you go chase that fire yokai over there. I'm gonna deal with Big Mom, because Kid and Law, I bet you, I'm gonna guarantee it, but they are not looking too hot right now. They used their awakening, which was their trump card, and I guarantee you that they're not doing too well in stamina wise. So they need a breather, they need some time to recover, and Marco is the best, if not only candidate right now that can help them fend off Big Mom. I know that Marco is first Yonko commander level, if not stronger than that, but the reason why I don't think he will be able to defeat Big Mom is because this man has been lifting some heavy loads. At the beginning of the raid, he was taking on King and Queen at the same dang time, not to mention Pedo Spedo. And then after that, he has been healing everybody on the live floor that have turned into Ice Oni. He's just expanding his devil fruit left and right. Last time we saw him, he couldn't even move. So that is why I'm saying he'll be able to fend off Big Mom, but he will not defeat her. He's gonna look at her, and right when Kid and Law are good to go, he's gonna say, hey, Big Mom, it is not my job to defeat you. I'm going to leave that to the next generation. And then boom, double page spread. We're gonna see Kid and Law going in with their awakenings yet again, and it will be super hype. The reason I don't think Izo will be a part of this Big Mom fight isn't just because, like, I don't think he's the strongest person out there, but it's also because his sights were already set on the fire yokai, so I feel like he's gonna stick to that, and he's gonna be like, hey, Big Mom, I don't want to mess with that. You can take care of her. I'm out of here. But also, during this chapter, we meet yet another threat, because right after this, we are introduced to Cp0 chasing after Brook and Robin. And you have to remember, the proximity of all of this is all very close. Yamato saw Big Mom the other chapter, you know, everything exploded, and then boom, we run into Drake and Apoo. And then this chapter, boom, from the ceiling, fire yokai, Drake, Apoo, Robin, Brook, Cp0, like everybody is in very close proximity, so anything could happen realistically. We could even see Marco go against Cp0 and help them out, or Izo fighting off Cp0 and helping Drake and Apoo. The possibilities are quite endless. Alright, so after the Marco segment, we catch a small panel of the Beast Pirates trying to leave the castle because it's catching on fire, and then you see the samurai saying, hey, nope, you guys aren't leaving anytime soon. And I wonder if this panel will have some consequences later on, like maybe everybody's gonna realize, like, hey, this fire is getting pretty intense, like we all should just head out of here together, like a birdcage scenario. If you remember back in Dressrosa, while Doflamingo was the one activating the birdcage, his subordinates were also getting cut up as well, so they were helping push that cage. I wonder if this will be one of those moments where everybody kind of bands together saying, hey, let's get the heck out of this island, like it's burning up now. Alright, so I've been following this theory for a while now, and you guys are insane with this one, but people have been speculating that the last three numbers are correlated to the samurai that Yamato was with in the cave during her childhood. I didn't want to bring it up simply because there was just no proof backing it up, other than the fact that they look somewhat similar. But in this chapter and last chapter, we realized that one of the numbers actually recognizes Yamato, and in this chapter, Fuga ends up chasing after her. But the problem with this is that Fuga is the one number that people are saying did not come from that cave. He's the oddball out. If the other two numbers recognized her instead, this would lead more credence. With Yamato's relationship to Fuga, it seems like they just know each other because they're a part of the Beast Pirates and they just happen to run by each other. I'm not saying that the theory is dead. If anything, I'm saying it's more alive than ever, because the other two numbers that look very similar to the ones in the cave did not recognize Yamato and didn't react. that could be Otis saying, hey, these guys got their mind blasted so hard when they were turning into these numbers that they don't even recognize her anymore. And that would just be absolutely sad. Another thing though with this theory, or something that could throw a cog in the machine, is simply the fact that Yamato, being so close to those samurai as a kid, you think that she would somewhat recognize them and be like, hey, you look awfully familiar, don't you? But I guess she doesn't want to believe in that because that would be just awful. Imagine One Piece just adds torture into the mix. They're like, oh yeah, those samurai that fought for you, yeah, they got messed up so hard they don't remember anything anymore. Personally, I think it would be a really cool twist to add, and since the One Piece community has been guessing this for a while now, I really like to keep up with this theory. So after Yamato and Fuga catch up for just a little bit, we see Brook and Robin falling from the ceiling. They land on Fuga's hair, which I think is kind of ironic because it looks like all of the Straw Hats are kind of meeting Yamato in a weird way. Like they run into Yamato, but they don't really meet her. This happened with Sanji, this happened with Jinbei, and now Brook and Robin. If this same carries on, she'll eventually meet Zoro and the rest of them as well. So I'm kind of curious to see those interactions or, you know, brief passes. So Brook and Robin fall from the ceiling. We see Cp0 chasing after them, and that is when they are engulfed by the fire yokai. And you actually see them catch on fire, and then just a panel or two later, you see them get back up like nothing happened. It's interesting that Cp0 got up so easily after being engulfed by fire, because if you look at everybody else that got engulfed by the yokai, they're like burning to death. Like they're done. All the fodder is gone. And then Cp0, the guy's just readjusting his hat like nothing happened. I'm wondering if he coded himself in hockey, or this might be one of their secret abilities, like maybe a devil fruit for instance. So while all this is happening, Yamato notices the fire yokai falling from the ceiling and she says, whoa, Fuga, I need your help. We need to get down to that basement before that fire does because everything's gonna explode. So now I'm curious as to what her plan is for the explosives, because you can't just like freeze them or break them, right? Like she'll have to manually get rid of them, like push them off somewhere else. I would say that she could just throw them over the island, but that might land on the citizens of Wano and that would just kill everybody else. Unless they're currently going over the desert portion of Wano, where in that case, you know, free game, like who cares? I still feel like the best way for all of this to play out is for Kinemon to stand up one last time and use his Foxfire style to cut down Kanjiro's fire demon in half, saving the day, and then Yamato, maybe in her hybrid form, freezes the explosives and hopes that they don't explode, or maybe she'll do what I said and knock them into the desert if they're still there and hope that nobody is below them. So now moving on, Cp0, they get back up from the flame, and Apoo, Snapchatter Apoo, is a monster. He's posting hella Instagram stories up over here. He has the flash on, he has the sound effects on. This man is shameless. All of this, I'm not making excuses, but all of this could have been just saved if Apoo just, you know, backed up a couple feet, put the phone on silent mode, and just snapped a couple pictures with the flash off. He would have had the same effect. But the man is shameless. He has all the noises going on. And then this is when Cp0 notices him. And not only that, but Apoo even mentions what he is going to do with those photos. He says, I'm gonna sell this to Morgans. Those words are nightmare fuel for the entire world government. Morgans is like enemy number one. I guarantee it. They say Dragon is the world's most wanted criminal. Well, meet Morgans. This man is posting all the news articles. He is unbiased. No fake news with Morgans. So this is when the Cp0 boss goes in for a Shigan so fast that a worst generation captain like Apoo could not even register it. He could not see it coming. He got hit by it, and it is pretty dastardly. It's not looking too good for him. And that is when Drake runs up from behind. He's like, whoa, Apoo, you're dying. Oh my gosh, I don't like you, but holy crap. And then this is when we get a really cool interaction. We see Cp0 meeting Drake, and they know each other, right? Like they know what's going on. They know that Drake is working for Kaido as a Sword Initiative spy, and Drake knows exactly what Cp0 is doing here. And it's kind of like that Spider-Man thing where they're like pointing at each other. But the Cp0 guy, which I really wish we had a name because I don't want to keep on saying that, but he ends up saying, hey, like, we can't have any problems here. We don't want you reporting it. We can't have Apoo doing this. This is a big problem. So he instantly, without hesitation, also goes in for the kill on Drake. and Apoo saves the day. He pumps his chest, makes a giant explosion, and then boom, we have Cp0, those two guys, versus Drake and Apoo. This fight has me so excited for the future of One Piece plot going forward, because the ramifications of this are huge, right? You have Drake, who is part of the Sword Initiative, working for the world government, mind you, fighting against Cp0, part of the shield of the world government. And it's insane because after this, what is that relationship gonna look like? Beforehand, they were always coexisting beside each other. They didn't like each other. The shield did not like the sword and vice versa. The sword was trying to expose all the dirty secrets of the world government, and here they are. Here they are clashing, finally breaking the truce. So after this, what are they gonna do? Is the world government gonna have a falling out? Or is the Sword Initiative finally gonna separate itself from the world government and say, hey, we're going against y'all, whether you like it or not? The reason I think this is so hype because it brings a lot of potential allies onto our side for future fights. Right now we have Drake, but in the future, we might even have Fujitora. We might have Kobe coming back into scene. And I'm still speculating, but I think Aokiji's also going to be a strong ally for the Straw Hat Pirates. Oda has been building up the roster of who is on what side for a very long time now. First with the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, all the people we've met along the way, and in this arc, it's kind of confirmed that the Sword Initiative might actually come inside with the Straw Hats. If they're both fighting for justice, and if they're both fighting to reveal the dirty secrets of the world government, this could have really big implications. So, moving on, I don't want to speculate too much, but Drake and Apoo go in for a double attack on Cp0. Drake is in his dinosaur form, and Apoo actually lands a hit on the tall masked guy. If this was Apoo using his devil fruit, I would have no qualms or even think about this panel right here. But Apoo actually goes in for a kick, and this guy gets hit by it, which I think is very fascinating because I can't see Apoo as a physically aggressive guy. He's really been solely reliant on his devil fruit for a majority of his fights. So the fact that he went in for a kick and that it landed is kind of crazy to me. So it makes me wonder, what is this big guy's ability? Earlier on in the chapter, when they got engulfed by flames, the guy noticed the flames behind him. They could have Soru'd out of the way, but they didn't. I would imagine that Cp0 is fast enough to get away from that fire, but they didn't care. And they got back up afterwards like nothing happened. It makes me wonder if they all have some crazy regenerative abilities, or maybe the tall guy here doesn't care if he gets hit because he can just regenerate with his devil fruit powers. I think it's kind of funny that a couple chapters ago, Apoo was wondering who to take down. Should I take down Luffy after he wins, or should I take down Kaido and get out of here? And then in this chapter, by fighting Cp0, he's unintentionally helping out the Straw Hats. So if he becomes an ally by the end of this, I wouldn't be too surprised. So now, moving on to the final parts of the chapter, we have King versus Zorro, and this is ridiculous. Oda has taken everything we know about dinosaurs, and he's just thrown it in the trash. He doesn't care, because he is making up his own rules here. This is Oda's playhouse, and in his house, pterodactyls shoot their heads like slingshots. I love that at the beginning of this fight, Zoro is wondering what the heck is going on. Like, oh, is he pulling off some ability? Is this a mechanic? What's going on here? And then, in the most ridiculous way possible, King pulls back his beak, and then he just shoots it like a laser beam. It's so fast. In fact, it is so fast that Zoro is barely able to dodge it. I love that King clarifies what's happening here because none of us would understand this. If we saw this, we'd be like, oh my god, is this what Lunarians are capable of? But no, King is like, yo, this is what pterodactyls could do back in the day. This is how they hunt their prey. Zoro already has so much on his plate already fighting a tough opponent like King. But not only that, but he now has to relearn the anatomy of dinosaurs as we know it. And not only that, but he also has to figure out King's race, because he mentions that King is a really hard man. That sounds kind of wrong, but he's abnormally tough. All the attacks that he's doing towards King are not doing substantial enough damage, and something is up with that. There's something underneath his armor that we're just not seeing. And he's referring to that being part of King's race, and that we don't know what he is quite yet. And this is when Zoro says something quite curious. He says, hey, is this the toughness of dragons and dinosaurs? What is going on here? And King gives us a major hint as to what the Lunarians are. He says, that's right, but I'm something more than that. This was overlooked by me a couple times. I read this part and I was like, oh, it's nothing. He's just saying that, oh yeah, I'm tough as a dragon and dinosaur, yada, yada, yada. But if you read deeper into this and you think about it, it's kind of interesting what he's alluding to. King is a Lunarian. They lived up atop the mountains, and he has weird fires coming out of his back. And then in this chapter, Zoro mentions, hey, you're as strong as a dragon, which I think is a really weird thing to say, right? You don't just say, hey, bro, you're as tough as a dragon, look at you. You don't say that. And the fact that King said that's right, but I'm something more than that, makes me wonder if the Lunarians are actually these half-dragon, half-human hybrids. We already have fishmen, so it wouldn't be too far to stretch and say that, oh yeah, the people in the ocean, they're the fishmen. The people that live on the mountains above the red line, they are the dragon men, the Lunarians. This would explain the fire, the constant fire coming out of his back. This would explain why Zoro says, hey, your heart is a dragon, and why your body is also tough, because underneath that leather jacket are scales. He has scales running down the side and all around his body, and that is why Zoro can't particularly cut him just yet. I don't know about you guys, but I think that is a pretty damn good theory. I like patting myself on the back right now. And another thing to help nail this in is that Zoro notices King's wings, and he's like, whoa, something's interesting about this. They don't look like they're just for decoration, but I don't think that's what's making him fly. What if King is flying with his, dragon wings instead, or maybe the fire is propelling him up? Oda has a twisted idea of what dinosaurs are, so maybe the dragons can fly with their fire and they don't necessarily need wings as well. I'm just saying it here. Dragon people might be confirmed for One Piece. So while Zoro is pondering King's race, he fends off an attack from King, but his sword is so strong it knocks him back. He hits a couple rocks and he is not looking too good. Zoro barely has his eyes open, he's exhausted. And then to make matters worse, his girl shows up, not even near them, but that shamisen can be heard all throughout Onigashima, or at least where Zoro is. And this is when Enma activates because it hears Hiyori, its rightful owner and Oden's, successor, and it starts reacting to this. And just like in the beginning of Wano, it starts sucking the life and haki out of him, which no worse timing could be had. And oh my goodness, I can't see how he's gonna get out of this right now. Because while he could just, be, oh, Enma, I'm gonna control you, and he just starts flexing his muscle and it's all good, he's fighting King, and King fights a little bit dirty, so he would not let this go. So there's a couple of things that could happen here. I think Hiyori playing the shamisen might calm down Enma somehow. I know it's what activated Enma, but maybe Hiyori could talk via music and say, oh, Zoro's a pretty cool guy, and then all of a sudden Enma's like, okay, cool, I'm not gonna suck his life away anymore, and then we're all dandy. Or what I think is gonna happen is that Zoro will get Ame no Habakiri and Enma will chill out. Enma will be like, oh, hey, look, it's my brother, because Oden was a two-sword user, so they were always welded together. So, with them both being in Zoro's possession, I feel like that will calm down Enma. With that being said, I don't know how he's gonna get Ame no Habakiri, but another reason why I think he will get it during this fight is that Enma is known as the sword that can cut to the underworld, whereas Ame no Habakiri is the sword that can slice the heavens. And with the Lunarians being viewed to as gods, it would only make sense if Ame no Habakiri is what lands the finishing blow on King. Ooh, okay, so moving on now, final part of the chapter. My breath is running out, my voice is cracking, but we have Orochi, who I know is the most interesting character right now. He is wondering what's happening, where's this shamisen coming from? He opens the door and then boom, we see Hiyori, or as he knows her, Komurasaki, because he has not seen Hiyori ever since. Nobody's reported this, obviously, because Denjiro has been working with her, and he's so happy. Nothing makes me happier than seeing an English bulldog gleeing with joy. But he runs up to Hiyori, he says, this is a dream, this can't be happening, and this is where we end the chapter. And there's a couple of things. Normally, from Hiyori's standpoint, I would want to kill Orochi. This man murdered my father. He threw Wano into chaos. I've been with him for so long. I know he's a really bad guy. And these are the final moments. naturally I would think that Hiyori has like a knife behind her and she's just gonna stab him, right? Like that is the most plausible outcome, what we all would expect to happen. But it's Oda and it's One Piece, and I can't see Hiyori taking Orochi's life, no matter how bad he is. I cannot see him just violently stabbing him. So with that being said, what is gonna happen here? Because we could have Fukuro Kuju show up and say, whoa, like something's not right here. That's Hiyori, isn't it? And then he just goes in for the kill. But I feel like Hiyori has some sort of plan for looting Orochi here. I honestly can't even begin to theorize what Hiyori would do to Orochi, but I still am pretty adamant that she won't kill him right here. I could see her luring him into a trap, like maybe, hey, let's go outside, and then boom, there's samurai all over him, and then Orochi dies. But I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen here. And I feel like Orochi, being a big player in Wano's history, I feel like he should be executed. I don't know, it's pretty horrible. He should be executed at the stake after this whole raid is done. I feel like he should have a public execution and everybody should witness the death of the Shogun, because let's be real here. If anybody deserves it, it's him for sure. But with that being said, y'all, that is the end of this week's chapter. There is no break next week. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments down below. Leave a like if you like the video. Leave a comment. I read them all and I try to respond to most of them. And yeah, take care, y'all. Thank you so much for subscribing if you have recently. It truly means the world to me. And I'll see you guys next week. See ya.